Let's now talk about the next content. We have Arthur Ribas talking about the DC world and the main topics related to this universe. You're going to get more information about Justice Society, World War II, and also the guests will share their impressions on Justice League Snyder Cut. We're also going to talk about DC movies for this universe and for 2022, the new Batman movie, the Suicide Squad, and a lot more. We have simultaneous translation into English. We'll have Arthur Ribas back on the screen and also Marco Tilly, Guilherme, and Fernando.
E aí, galeras, beleza? Eu sou Arthur Ribas, apresentador
Hey, what's up? I'm Arthur Ribas, and I'm here to talk to you about the DC universe. And I'm not alone. I have a number of guests who are going to be here with us to talk about them. You know, lovers, collectors of the DC world. And first of all, I'd like to say that you can find a lot of DC content on the Warner Play channel. You can subscribe to the Warner channel on YouTube, and you'll always get animations and information about the game. So if you fancy DC content, then you can go to the Warner channel. Now let me invite them onto the stage. So Fernando, possibly the largest or the biggest collector of DC items in Brazil, and he had to, contract a container to be able to put all of the content that he has with his DC collection. We'll talk to Marco Tilly. He is the Flash cosplayer, so he can speak on good authority about DC too. And Guilherme, who is a Superman cosplayer and who's also very, very knowledgeable about the DC universe, and who can also share a lot about the animations with us. So after this chat, you can go to the Warner channel to subscribe. And remember, if you want to, there is a discount code for the Band Up. I have a Band Up t-shirt on, and if you want a discount code for the Band Up product, you can go to the Warner booth on the big festival stand, and you can get your discount, and you can buy t-shirts and other items. All right, so this is the team that we have here. They love DC, they know a lot about it, and we're here to talk about something that we all love. So Fernando, thank you very much for being here once again. How are you doing? I'm very happy to be here, thanks. Hey Guilherme, how are you doing? Thank you for being here. Hey, thanks for having me. And Marco, thank you for being with us. Hey guys, how are you doing? So we've got lots to talk about, and you'll see how much these guys know about DC, so you are in safe hands. Let's start off talking about Justice League, Zack Snyder's cut. That was very successful here in Brazil, and I've spoken to Fernando and Marco about this. So in Going to Play, they were with us on the live stream to launch the Snyder Cut, and I'd like to hear from you what you thought about the movie. I did. I watched those 4 marvelous hours, and it's great that Marco is on this panel with me, because since 2016, 2018, Mark and I believed in the Snyder Cut coming out. We had that. He had a sweat t-shirt with the Snyder Cut print, and people were just like, "No, that's not going to happen." But we still believed in it, and that came true. And whoa, that gives me the shivers. And when the news came out that Zack Snyder was going to launch his version of the movie, what did you guys say about it? What did you tell one another? Do you remember, Marco, what we said about it? We started WhatsApping one another with a lot of vocabulary to, convey our excitement. We're like, oh my God, this is happening. And what really made us notice that it was going to happen, right, that when the penny really dropped, a fan said, "Hey, what about Snyder Cut?" A fan asked. And they started looking at each other, sort of, and then they announced it. And then we started texting each other. And it's like, oh my God, I can't believe this is going to happen. And as good fans, we knew that the risk of that not going great was substantial and that it would be disappointed, you know? And then when we watched it, though, we talked to each other and we said, I'm so glad it happened. I'm so glad they did it. Because we were really hoping for it from the beginning. We watched the other movie and we're like, oh, that's a bit sad, you know, that we didn't get Zack Snyder's view. And we had read a lot about it on the internet, what items he was going to be focusing on, what he would be adding or changing. So it was really a dream come true. This movie made it clear how important it is to understand, or how important the director's view and cut is. You see, it's theoretically the same movie, but with different directors, and they've become two completely different movies then. You possibly, like I did, were rooting for it to be as good as you hoped it to be. How many times did you watch that, Fernando? I watched it 6 times. I did it as many times as I could. But the film already starts off amazingly, awesomely, you know, because it starts with that Amazon battle, and that's poetry on the screen. I was just thinking to myself that, you know, to watch that in the movies on the big screen would be amazing. And the way that all characters were connected and the backstory for all characters was also very important, because in the first version, Cyborg was sort of hanging in the air, and then the Flash was just a comic relief. And this time, every character is crucial to the plot. And I really like that battle with the gods, you know, and we already had that in the first version, but they increased, they expanded that scene in the Snyder Cut, and I thought it was really cool. And the Green Lantern, man, if you want a fan to be happy about a movie, you know, you just have to pepper it with a few Easter eggs. It doesn't have really to be part of the plot, but we go crazy. We love it. And you know that we can't go to the movies and see Zack Snyder's movie now, but and you can't see it anywhere else at this moment, but in HBO Max in June, it's going to be available again. So you'll be able to see Zack Snyder's cut on HBO Max. And there's a lot more of DC content there for you to see. But let's talk about the latest release we had with DC, Justice Society World War II. So let's see here who should speak first. Did you see it, Guilherme? What did you think of it? Well, their animations are flawless, right? As usual. What about you, Marco? So much for you to enjoy there, isn't there? Well, this animation brings two things together that I really like, which is the backstory and the history, you know, everything that we have seen in the world and the fantasy world of superheroes. So bringing these two elements together, history and superheroes, already I think always results in great movies, and DC can do that like no one else. And the Flash, he's basically the main character. I mean, I don't mean to downplay the other characters, but I am a hardcore The Flash fan, and we have two speedsters in the same movie, right? We have Barry Allen and Jay Garrick. You already love The Flash, and you have then two of these characters there, so you're excited, you know, twice as much. Yeah, you're really excited, because seeing Jay Garrick and the Flash in a movie is really a lot of fan service. Well, the animation Justice Society World War II plays, of course, during the Second World War. And you've got the Flash from the future, so to speak, which is the Flash from the present going back to the past. And the animation has got a different style, and I'd like to ask Fernando if he could tell us a little bit more about Justice Society. Justice Society has a bit of a complicated story in the comic books. There are some ups and downs. Sometimes it sort of was forgotten, really. And the first superhero team to be created in the 40s was Justice Society, you know? Yeah. And in the animation, you can see this retro sort of style. Yeah, this is a very good animation. And if there is one segment that really works in Warner and DC, well, it is animation, because they pay a lot of tribute, you know? It will always look at the past history. So they look at Justice Society, and they go back to Jeff Jones, and his saga was incredible. And they bring it back, really. The society was really affected by the DC multiverse. At some points, you had that multiverse, and then you didn't have the multiverse. So the interaction of the Justice Society with the Justice League was also mentioned in the movie in a very nice way. The Flash plays a very important role in that. I was going to say something, but I think it would be a spoiler. And but you know, you've got the multiverse in the animation in World War II. Guilherme, you really like animations, you really like DC. What is different about this animation in comparison to the older ones or the other ones? The last animation I saw was the Acopopolis War, if I'm not mistaken. What I really liked about it is how the graphics evolved. I mean, it looks great. It really does. And they are sort of working with the style of the characters towards that rebirth era. So it looks really cool. It has a comic book, you know, thing to it. So it really looks good. And the voices are the voices that the fans wanted, right? So Guilherme Briggs as Superman. And since we're speaking about voicing movies and dubbed movies, what do you favor? Do you prefer to watch dubbed or subtitled movies? To me, well, movies need to be subtitled, but animations need to be dubbed. What are your opinions? Same as you, Arthur. I like subtitled movies because otherwise you may lose those catchphrases, you know, those cultural elements. But I really like dubbed animations. And I think that Brazil has great voice actors, one of the best voice actors in the world, possibly. And we can really feel their emotions and feelings. So I prefer dubbed animations and subtitled movies. I'm the same. Well, you need Briggs' voice to watch Superman. If you hear another voice, you're like, that's not Superman. But when I watch a movie, I prefer to have the original audio. Fernando, what about you? I have to beg to differ. I really like the original language, be it the movie or be it the animation. Warner invests very much in their productions, and you have Mac Duber and Darren Criss in this movie. So the last animation with Wonder Woman had Dowles as well. So I love the casting they do. I don't mean to, you know, underappreciate our Brazilian voice actors, but I have, you know, nephews, young nephews, so I end up watching the dubbed version as well, but I prefer the original audio. I like dubbed animations, but if Jason Eccles is dubbing in the original language, then I'll have to watch it because I absolutely adore his voice. We had a survey on Play with 55,000 respondents. And I asked them, and this is back when Justice League was coming out, the Snyder's Cut, and I asked them, are you going to watch it dubbed or subtitled? Who do you think chose what? I would say more subtitled. I would say more dubbed. I'd say more people voted for subtitled. I was really taken aback here. It was 76% dubbed. So 76% of people preferred to watch the movie dubbed. So they were going to watch it dubbed. And the other 24% subtitled. I was really surprised. It is surprising. It really is. I sent Guilherme Briggs a snapshot, and he was also surprised. He was like, I thought more people would prefer to watch it subtitled. So you're in really safe hands, because this animation was dubbed, and this movie was dubbed too. And you can watch Justice Society in Portuguese if you prefer to. And Superman is voiced by Guilherme Briggs. He is the real life Superman, undisputable. I'd like you now to make a recommendation. We know there are several DC animations out there. They're always releasing new ones, but I'd like you to recommend DC animations or one of them. Can I speak first? You, go ahead, Guilherme. I'm not going to, take your turn and speak about Flashpoint, but so he is the Flash specialist, right? So let's let him talk about it. I can't recall exactly what the animation is called, but I think one of you will probably remember. It is an animation that presents Justice League, and I think it's called Justice League War, but I can't recall what it's called in Portuguese. I think it's a literal translation, Justice League War. So why is it that I recommend this animation? Because a DC fan will see what the Justice League is all about, which is the characters getting to know each other, fighting our very much beloved villain Darkseid. And I wouldn't say, it's a 10, but it's a 9.5, so you should definitely watch it. There are two that I really like, The Killing Joke. And I think Fernando was going to say that. And so let's re-record this scene and I'll pretend I didn't say that. But I really like The Killing Joke, and I like to read the comic book and then watch the animation. So I'm a big fan of The Killing Joke. It's and one of the best stories with the Flash is the Flashpoint. It's a key story in the DC multiverse. And Fernando, you can talk about The Killing Joke, so I'll stick to the Flashpoint. Yeah, so they know what I'm gonna say. It's The Killing Joke. It's a fantastic story. It's really good. And the animation left nothing to be desired. And there's another one coming up, which is going to be really cool. Yeah, let's talk about that. There are new releases this year. There is a release in June, right? Batman and the Long Halloween Part 1. And in June, we have Batman and the Long Halloween Part 2. Would like to talk a little bit about that? I'm really biased, aren't I? Because Batman is my absolute favorite character. I consume a lot of Batman content. And the Long Halloween, the way the story is told is really similar to a series. There are 12 volumes, I think, and each volume would leave that cliffhanger, for you to be dying to know what's going to be happening next. And these books came out once a week, and it was a really successful series. And, well, they deserve this animation. So I've got very high expectations, I must say. If you want to get to know more about our guests, you can find some information about them. And I just have to say that Fernando is a collector. And when did you start collecting, Fernando? I began my collection in 1989, but I own every single item that was launched from 1984 onwards. So my collection boasts over 35,000 comic books. So my house is basically a comic book museum. It's a lot of work, but it's amazing. And I'm always going back to them and revisiting these stories. So I only met Fernando after the pandemic had started, so we've only met virtually. But I'm really looking forward to having the chance to go to your house and having a story about your collection. Let's make that happen. Absolutely, let's make that happen. It's definitely going to be a pleasure. Well, and you're a specialist in comic books, so could you recommend a DC comic book? Well, Batman is my favorite character, and I would recommend The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight was really the story that changed my life. It's the story that I read, and it blew my mind. You're just like, shit, what was that? And if I can recommend one more, Sandman by Neil Gaiman. That's going to come out on Netflix sooner or later, but it is a sweet, awesome story with heaps of Easter eggs, and it's world-class material. I was going to ask you what your favorite character is. Fernando has just said it's Batman. So, and Guilherme cosplays Superman, and Marco cosplays the Flash. You can even see the mask in the background. So I think I'm just going to skip that question because you can all see what the favorite character is. And remember, if you're a DC fan, in June, the Batman, The Long Halloween Part 1 animation is coming out. And then in July, Part 2 is coming out. And then at the end of the year, in October, Suicide Squad is coming out. What about that one, guys? Are you looking forward to that one too? Man, it's going to be amazing. A lot of shooting, a lot of bombs and explosions. And I really hope that everyone's been vaccinated possibly by then, and then we can really watch that movie on the big screen, because that's a movie theater movie. You're not meant to see that at home. James Gunn's movies are full of explosions and noise. They're really loud, so you have to see that in the movies. Good directors equal good movies, right? Have you seen any backstage stories or images, trailers? It's a lot of explosions. I've seen some. You can see a lot of visual effects. And I've got very high expectations too. I think the characters that they have brought are really gripping. There are loads of characters, so you can be sure that a lot of them are going to be killed. And the story is really going to live up to what Suicide Squad represents in the comic books. And when it comes to games, we have releases next year. There are two important games coming out in 2022, Suicide Squad, and we've seen a trailer. And this is being confirmed this year. And Gotham Knight is going to be launched in 2022. We have seen some gameplay. We see the four Gotham Knights that are going to fight crime in the city. You can find the trailers already. So we're, getting to the end of our time. So I'd like to really thank you for the session. Thank you very much for being with us. I want to be able to always count on you at Order Play. I'd like to thank you for being with us. And you can, make your final remarks. Thank you, Fernando, very much for joining us. Thank you very much for having me. The Animation Justice Society is definitely worth watching. And the expectations for DC 2021 and 2022 are at the absolute best. And Marco? Thank you, everyone, for being here with us. You should definitely watch this animation, definitely worth your while. And you should never, leave till tomorrow what you can do today. So watch this movie about the Flash. And, Guilherme, thank you for the opportunity. It was great to talk to you about this brilliant, awesome animation. I don't want to give you any spoilers, but I can say that any DC fan is going to love it. And it's not only about the Flash, mind you. If you like Superman, I'm not going to say anything about the Batman, but I can definitely recommend it. Thank you very much for being here with us. And remember, in June, HBO Max is coming out in Brazil. And if you are here with us at the big festival, you can get a discount code to purchase some products. So this t-shirt, for example, by Band Up. So you can get that code for some discount. Thank you very much, everyone. All the best and see you around. I won't see you at Big Festival again, but I'll see you at Order Play. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Fernando, Artur, Marco. And stay tuned. We're just going to have a quick break and we'll be right back.
Big Festival 2021, the biggest games festival in Latin America.